Everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. So it is day 5 of the impeachment trial. It is officially the last day. As you may have heard, Donald Trump was acquitted. That's terrible news, but there are some silver linings in this, which I'll explain. I mean, the fact that he had such a bumbling and incompetent legal team just tells you that this was a foregone conclusion, that with the exception of maybe one or two Republicans who crossed over and voted to convict him, this was already done. Again, the impeachment managers did a fantastic job in their closing arguments. The couple things that I wish they had done is I wish they would have used the word "you" in their presentations. And that may sound like a minor thing, but if you research marketing, and you research words that really make a difference and really stir emotion in people when they're either reading something or they're listening to a presentation, the word "you" is very powerful. And I think they needed to personalize this more. They needed to bring those senators back to that moment when their lives were potentially in jeopardy, when their families were at risk of losing them and the fear that they felt that day. So in making generalized terms as the Senate, this body, us, the Congress, it doesn't personalize it. So that's one thing that I wish they had done. The other thing that I was hoping someone would do is to bring up the fact that Donald Trump lost his entire legal team just days before this trial began, because his attorneys, this Bruce Castor idiot, kept bringing up the fact that we just got this information. We haven't even had a chance to go through it. I was just wishing that one of them would have stood up and said, we're really sorry that you just got this information. Perhaps if your client wasn't so difficult, perhaps if your client wasn't so insane, and if he was actually someone who kept his word and paid his bills and paid his attorneys for their services, perhaps his original legal team would have stuck with him. But as we all know, they ditched him just days before this trial began. So, that's not on us. That's not our fault for why you were brought in at the last minute as the B team and given this information at the last minute. But this guy, Castor, oh my, just to keep it lighthearted, I have to say I was listening to his closing argument, and there were so many moments where I was laughing out loud because of the way he mispronounced words or the things he said that made me think of Family Guy. He kept saying, why? And of course, if you've ever seen Family Guy, there's the whole segment with Stewie saying, Will Wheaton. So that made me laugh. Then, oh my God, I think this is why Trump may have hired him, but they say anonymous the same way. There was that whole video that came out about Trump saying anonymous, like over and over again in a speech. And he actually said it. He said anonymous. Then he said the date was wrong on something instead of the date was wrong. Instead of maniacal, he said maniacal. The guy is a clown. But in the end, 7 Republican senators did vote to convict. So that is one of the silver linings that I was referring to. It was Senator Richard Burr, Senator Bill Cassidy, Senator Susan Collins, Senator Lisa Murkowski, Senator Mitt Romney, Senator Ben Sasse, and Senator Pat Toomey. So Burr and Toomey were the ones that struck me the most and that I was most shocked by. McConnell voted not guilty. McConnell voted not to convict. And then he spoke after the vote was taken. He gave this long, eloquent speech about how Trump was guilty. He admitted that Trump was actually guilty, but said that he couldn't vote for conviction because Trump was no longer president. First of all, that was settled. They took a vote on that. That was settled. They said, set that aside because that's not an issue in this trial. Second, it's his fault that Trump was not on trial while he was president. They tried to take the articles of impeachment to the Senate on January 15th, when Trump still had 5 days in office, and McConnell armbarred them. He said, no, we will not be taking it up. I am not going to call the Senate back in to the chambers to hold this trial. You'll have to wait. And he said that the soonest it could be done was the day before the inauguration. Obviously, you're not going to hold a 5-day impeachment trial in one day. So there was literally no way to hold Trump accountable while he was still president. And that was 100% Mitch McConnell's fault. So as I said the other day, typical Republican bullshit. They create the problem and then they say, oh, well, we can't do it because of this problem, because this problem exists. But it gives them just enough cover to say, oh, well, it's not that I'm a shitheel. It's not that I don't believe in the Constitution and I don't want to do my job. It's because of this reason that I created, that I'm now going to pretend appeared out of thin air. Then McConnell said, this isn't over. Trump can still be held accountable as a private citizen in a court of law. Okay, well, there's two problems with that. Number one, Biden is trying to pretend, at least, maybe he's real about it. I don't know. I can't speak to his state of mind. But he's trying to bring the country together. He keeps talking about unity, and he doesn't want to appear that he's going after a former president of the United States, which has never been done before. And here's the thing. Here's the second issue. It's a catch-22 because the Republicans will use it against him regardless. If Biden doesn't, and it's not up to Biden really, it's up to his Department of Justice. But if the Department of Justice gets a notion, if they understand that Biden doesn't want to be seen as divisive, they won't take it up. They will probably just decide that it's not worth it. And there's a higher bar to clear. There's a higher standard in a court of law, as I understand it, than there is when it comes to impeachment. In a court of law, they have to prove that it was a crime. And impeachment is just about, not always, but a lot of the times, did you violate your oath of office? Did you violate the Constitution? It doesn't have to rise to the level of criminality. So will they take it to court? Will they spend that time and taxpayer money to take this to court to make sure that Trump pays for this? I would posit that it's important that they do, to set a standard in this country so we don't see a repeat of this. But if they do, Republicans are going to use that against them. They're going to say, see, they're going after their political enemies. They're fascists. They just want to take Trump down. They're afraid of facing him again, potentially in 2024. And I wouldn't be surprised if McConnell was one of them who says publicly, this is wrong. You shouldn't you shouldn't try to prosecute a former president for the acts he took while he was in office. After they just said, you should do it that way. Even Trump's own attorney said, that's your method. That's what you should do now that he's a private citizen. But I guarantee, I'll bet any of you money that there will be hordes of Republicans out there, if they do, making that argument, crying foul, whining and bitching about it. And if they don't, they're going to say, see, he didn't do anything wrong. If Trump was guilty, they would take legal action against him. This was all a political stunt. if they don't go after him for these things that he did while in office, for inciting a violent domestic terrorist attack on the US Capitol, Republicans will turn it around on the Democrats and say they only impeached Trump a second time to score political points and to keep him from running for office in 2024. Because if he truly had done anything wrong, they would have prosecuted him. Biden's DOJ would take legal action against him. They're damned if they do, and they're damned if they don't. And McConnell knows that. But now he's covered all of his bases. Now he's kept the voters happy because he didn't vote to convict. But then he went out and said, oh, Trump is guilty and he should be held account. He should be taken to trial over this. There are legal remedies and they should be pursued. So now he keeps the donors happy. This is all a game to them. And it is truly disgusting. It's such immoral and amoral behavior to take a stand and vote based on politics versus right and wrong is so vile. These people do not deserve to be in positions of power. They do not deserve to call themselves public servants. What they're doing has nothing to do with the public. It's not about protecting anyone but themselves. Every vote they take is about protecting their own asses, protecting their own seats, protecting their own power. Has nothing to do with any of us. So that's where it is, guys. That's where it stands. We will see. They had a chance to call witnesses. They voted on that this morning. There was one witness, a Republican House member who spoke out, who actually did vote for impeachment in the House. And I believe her last name is Herrera Butler. She has told numerous news outlets. She put a statement on the record, which is what they read into the record, saying that she had a conversation with House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy on the day of the Capitol attack. And he told her that he reached out to Donald Trump. He called him and begged him to call these people off, to stop them. Donald Trump tried to blame Antifa. There was shouting and cussing. And McCarthy told him, no, these are your people. You need to call them off. You need to make it stop. And Donald Trump simply said, smugly, well, Kevin, I guess these people care more about the lost election than you do, or something to that effect. It truly shows his state of mind and his intent. The fact that all of these Republicans could overlook all of that, even their own Republican colleagues telling them flat out, not only did he start this, but then he did nothing to stop it. He didn't care when he knew what was happening. He didn't care if someone got killed. And these Republicans have now co-signed that and said, we don't care either. So remember that. Remember that in 2 years when some of these SOBs are up for re-election. They don't care. The party, the pro-life party, the party who claims to care so much about all lives, that all lives matter. Isn't that what they say? Blue lives matter, law and order. But they don't care that people literally died. They don't care. All right, guys, as always, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Take care, and I'll talk with you soon.